Hello students. Now what we are going to talk about from lesson 7, we are going to discuss about the ocean currents in the Indian Ocean. The pattern of currents in Indian Ocean differs considerably from those, means it's very different as compared to. So differs considerably from those in Pacific or Atlantic Oceans. The effect of monsoon wind system is clearly seen on the currents in the North Indian Ocean. They have given you a map wherein on page 80, and they've told you all to study this map and identify and answer the following questions. What you can see and what is the difference between A and B. Now, the geographical explanation owing to this, when you look at the maps, the ocean currents are bodies of oceanic waters maintaining their separate entity, means they are independent. The ocean currents are bodies of the oceanic waters which maintain their separate identity, independence, so it's called their separate entity. They flow across oceans under the influence of specific wind system. They perform the function of mixing of waters, as in there is a lot of mixing and transferring happening, wherein there's transfer of heat and mixing of water from one part of the ocean to the other. So they perform the function of mixing of waters and transfer of heat from one part of ocean to the other. Ocean currents are classified as warm or cold currents depending on the temperature conditions of the flowing water in them. Now, if you look at this map, part A, it basically shows you the Bandhasagar, the currents which are flowing. Now, the currents which are in pink color, they are the warm currents, and the ones which are in the blue are the arrows in the blue are the cold currents. So if you see how is it flowing, you will understand the differences between, you can identify between figure A and B. So ocean currents are classified as warm or cold currents depending on the temperature conditions of the flowing water in them. The system of ocean currents in Indian Oceans is highly influenced by shape of its coastline, its extent, how long it is, its extent, and the peculiar arrangement of the wind system. A particular type of arrangement, a known arrangement of the wind system that prevails, that is already there in the region. It has what type of currents? It has equatorial currents, but the north equatorial current is weaker than the south equatorial current. Look at the map again. The north of, basically it is saying that the north of the equator, the currents are influenced by the seasonally reversing monsoon wind system. It's going in reverse order. The current system in the southern part of the Indian Ocean leads to development of a large gear. Now, when we talk about gear, basically what is it? It is a circular pattern of ocean currents. What is a gyre or gear? It is a circular pattern of ocean currents, and it is basically influenced by the shape of the coastline and its extent and the arrangement. So this is what a gear is. The two major arms of this gear are south equatorial current flowing east to west direction, and under the influence of easterlies, the west wind drift flowing from west to east under the influence of the westerlies. So these are the current systems which are the two major arms of this gear. The first one is the south equatorial current, which is flowing from east to west under the influence of the easterlies, and the second one is the west wind drift. The circulation is completed in the west by Mozambique, Agulhas currents, and in the east by West Australian currents. So it is completed by these. It is considered to be one of the major gears on global scale. In the northern portion of the Indian Ocean, if you all see, seasonal monsoon winds drive the currents. Mostly these currents follow along the coastlines. During summer, they follow clockwise. If you look at the map, you will see they follow clockwise direction, and during the winter their direction shows a complete reversal and they flow anti-clockwise. So this is how it has been described, and how the pattern of ocean currents in Indian Ocean is there during the monsoon, during the seasons basically. So this is what they are trying to tell us. Now when we talk about the Indian Ocean currents, in short, what did we try to understand from this Indian Ocean current, students? Basically, there are two types of these currents. The South Equatorial Current, how does this flow? It flows from east to west. It is influenced by the easterlies. The circulation is completed by the Mozambique Agulhas currents. Next, the B part is the west wind drift. Now this flows from east to west and it is influenced by the westerlies. The circulation is completed by the West Australian current. Now, in short, what are we trying to understand here in the Indian Ocean? What is the ocean currents? They are affected by what, students? They are affected by the monsoon wind system, which is there in the northern Indian Ocean, the shape of its coastline, then the extent of the coastline. There is a particular word which I told you all, the peculiar arrangement of the wind system in the region. What do? These ocean currents, they mix waters. There is transfer of heat happening from one ocean to the other. Now they are affected by the shape, the extent and the arrangement of the wind. In the northern in the northern portion of the Indian Ocean, there are what? There are seasonal monsoon winds which drive the currents, and these currents mostly follow along the coastlines. During summer they follow in clockwise direction and during the winter they flow in anti-clockwise. So this is a section of ocean currents which we were supposed to know, and this is also one of the parts of the bottom relief of the Indian Ocean. Now coming to the importance of the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean region connects three continents. Which are those three continents, namely, students? Asia, Africa and Australia. It supports some of Asia's biggest economies. If you think Asia as a continent, Asia is the biggest continent. So there is a lot of economically it's very important. So it supports, this Indian Ocean basically is very supportive towards the economy of Asia. This alone shows the economic and political significance that it has. It contains three busiest straits. Now the last class what I told you all, what is a strait, student? It is a narrow passage which connects two large areas of water, or it connects two seas. So this alone shows, it contains three busiest straits: the Hormuz, the Malacca and the Bab el-Mandeb. Majority of crude oil exported by Gulf countries. Now, which are the Gulf countries, students, over here? If you think of Saudi Arabia, then there is UAE, all that belt of Kuwait. Of course, there was a world war between Iraq and Kuwait. I mean, Kuwait is a very small country in itself, Gulf country, but it had a lot of importance in the early 90s, which got disrupted and destroyed. So majority of crude oil exported by Gulf countries passes through this route via Strait of Hormuz. Hence, the Indian Ocean serves an important route. Route is important way for passing this crude oil. So, for crude oil supplies worldwide. Several island countries such as Maldives, Seychelles are located in the Indian Ocean. We know now these places have become very important tourist spots, hotspots, where very famous personalities also keep going, and that's why it's known for its beauty, these islands, Maldives and Seychelles. The economy of these countries entirely depends upon the marine ecosystem. So it supports the marine ecosystem and it depends on that, and then marine tourism in the Indian Ocean. So this is the importance of the Indian Ocean. Now the importance of Indian Ocean for India. This is the only ocean which is named after one country, and that's our own country. So the importance of the Indian Ocean for India. India occupies a central and a strategic location in the Indian Ocean area. As in strategically and location wise, it has a lot of importance in the Indian Ocean area. Its national and economic interests are inseparably linked up with the Indian Ocean. So it's so important that Indian Ocean cannot be separated from India, wherein there is strategic and economic interests, and it is linked that way. Hence, to keep the Indian Ocean as a zone of peace, free from superpower rivalry. Superpower, I mean, there are some countries in the world which are great superpowers, and there are some issues which there's some rivalry happening between many strong countries nowadays. So, to increasing cooperation among littoral countries in the region has always been India's foreign policy goal. So, this is one of India's foreign policy goals, wherein they can have increased cooperation amongst one another. You all have seen nowadays our Prime Minister is working with our neighboring countries, and he's having a lot of pacts, contracts being signed, wherein there could be, which could lead to economic development of our own country. For example, Indian Ocean Rim Association for Regional Cooperation, BIMSTEC, and Ganga Mekong Cooperation. No industrial development, commercial growth, stable political structure is possible unless countries' shores are protected. See, students, this is very clear that until and unless our boundaries are protected, whether it's land or water, you cannot prosper, as well as there cannot be any industrial development, commercial growth, and there cannot be any stability wherein politically we are connected to one another on a global level. Most of the conflicts meaning most of the fights since the end of the Cold War have also taken place in or around the Indian Ocean. So most of the conflicts or history has it as in its records, wherein the Cold War which has taken place is around the Indian Ocean region. As a result, almost all the world's major powers have deployed. So most of the superpower countries, the world's major powers, have deployed, as in they have appointed substantial military forces. If you see, not only our borders, whether the terrestrial, but the oceanic areas also, we have navy, we have air, army, all of those they are protecting. So they have deployed sufficient enough substantial military forces in the Indian Ocean region. Now, a major concern of India in the Indian Ocean is energy. This is the biggest concern. India is fourth largest economy in the world. It is almost 70% dependent on oil import. Now, these Gulf countries which have had blooming and they've been prosperous over many centuries is because of the crude oil which they are providing rest of the world. And now you all can see that the demand for crude oil, as in it's going to, that kind of energy which is going to get, it's non-renewable, so it's going to deplete. So definitely we are turning out on different other sources of energy. But yes, it is a fact that it is almost 70% dependent on oil import, major part of which comes from the Gulf region. The Indian Ocean provides major sea routes. Now, this is also one of the importance of Indian Ocean for India. Why? Because it provides major sea routes which connect the Middle East, Africa, and East Asia with Europe and the Americas. So you can see how does it connect European, American, and the East and West African countries through the sea routes. So it provides major sea routes connecting the Middle East, Africa, and East Asia with Europe and the Americas. It carries a particularly heavy traffic of petroleum. As I told you all some time back, that this strait, the route via Strait of Hormuz, is very important, where majority of the crude oil is exported by Gulf countries. It passes through this route, students, Strait of Hormuz. So what happens is, over here is it carries a particularly heavy traffic of petroleum and petroleum products from the oil field of the Persian Gulf and Indonesia. Large reserves, large storages of hydrocarbons are being tapped. Large reserves of hydrocarbons are being tapped in the offshore areas of Saudi Arabia, particularly on the offshores of Saudi Arabia, Iran, India, and Western Australia. And it's estimated 40% of the world's offshore oil production comes from the Indian Ocean. So this is the contribution of the or the importance, you can say, of Indian Ocean for India, wherein 40% of the world's offshore oil production comes from the Indian Ocean. Beach sands. Now these beach sands, which are rich in heavy minerals and offshore deposits, are actively exploited by the bordering countries, particularly India, South Africa, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka. So what all these beach sands, which have many heavy minerals, are exploited by the bordering countries, particularly India, South Africa, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka. With the increasing trade relations, now as the borders are opening up, there are contracts being signed where there is cooperation and there is relations which are maintained over a period of time, as every country wants to grow economically. So with the increasing trade relations with the countries of India has higher stakes in the region. I mean, India has more to lose, as in you can say, in the years to come. Trade volumes with the Asian countries have more than doubled. So if you see over a period of time, the trade volumes with the Asian countries have more than doubled in a decade, from a mere $1484 million in 1993. The Indian market has emerged as one of the largest importers. It has emerged as one of the largest importers of Southeast Asian goods, with imports touching 10,942 million in 2004. Look at the growth. The recently concluded free trade agreements. See, students, there are many agreements, pacts, contracts, facilities, policies which India wants to be in their favor, wherein if companies come, industries come into our country, it can boost our economy. And there are different kinds of trade agreements, free trade agreements, which our country signs with different countries all over the world. So the recently concluded free trade agreements with countries like Thailand and Singapore are set to contribute to this trend. Expanding markets. Definitely, the growth in markets and larger import flows imply not only economic prosperity, economic success, it not only leads to economic success. So, expanding markets and large import flows imply not only economic prosperity but also vulnerability at sea. It becomes like you become vulnerable wherever you are. The incidents of piracy, armed robbery, and maritime terrorism, these have become a part of today's existence where these various sea routes are concerned. You all can see where people are getting into different countries. How do they go through sea routes? There is migration happening, and then there are illegal migration happening. There is terrorism, there's armed robbery. So these are on rise, and they are on the rise and has placed a premium on the complexity of sea lane defense. So now it's become a cause of worry, wherein the incidence of piracy, armed robbery, armed robbery, and maritime terrorism are on the rise, which has placed a premium on the complexity of the sea lane defense. The northern area of the Indian Ocean is the area of great significance in economic and strategic terms. So basically, the northern area of the Indian Ocean holds a lot of significance where the economic and strategic terms are to be met. India's foreign policy orientation towards its eastern neighbors has spurred interest and attention there. So it's because of these neighbors on the eastern side of our country uh, where we have developed some interest in the eastern neighbors. It has given a lot of attention and interest over there is created. India's bur- burgeoning economy, burgeoning economy now forecasted to become one of the three fastest growing economies. So India is basically, it's been forecasted as to becoming one of the three fastest growing economies in the world, which entails expansion of existing export. So there is expansion of export and import markets. Being a seafaring nation with island neighbors, if you look at our country, we have basically we have a lot of island neighbors, which I have also told you all and shown you all, has added to the need for sea safe lanes in their interlying waters. The world's busiest choke point in the Straits of Malacca, located here, adds complexity to the strategic factor. So there's a particular strait called the Strait of Malacca, which adds a lot of confusion, complexity, wherein strategic growth is concerned. So this basically now what I spoke to you all about in this chapter was the ocean currents. I repeat, the ocean currents I covered was south equatorial current. I told you all the west wind current. Both south equatorial current is influenced by easterlies, west wind is influenced by the westerlies. It is completed by the Mozambique Agulhas currents. This is west wind drift is completed by the West Australian current. Then I told you all about how it is affected. It's the ocean currents are affected by the extent and the shape of the coastline, the wind system in the region. Then there are seasonal monsoon winds which drive the currents. Then I spoke to you all about the importance of the Indian Ocean. So when I spoke to you all about the importance, what do we derive from those some important points? It supports Asia's biggest, some of Asia's biggest economies. It contains three busiest straits. There is Hormuz, Malacca, and Bab el Mandeb. Then I told you all that also that majority of the crude oil is exported by the Gulf countries, passes through the Strait of Hormuz. The economy of island countries like Maldives and Seychelles It depends on two things, that is the marine tourism in the Indian Ocean and the marine ecosystem. Now, Indian Ocean region, if you all see, what is the other point, what I told you all, it has become important for countries that have military and naval bases which lead to tension in the region, as there are a lot of other things which I told you all are nowadays a cause of concern: maritime terrorism and piracy and armed robbery, all of that. So Indian region has become important for countries that have military and naval bases and leading to tension. Then yes, there was, though you all don't have that, but on page 82, they have the deposits. The abyssal plains also have deposits of polymetallic nodules, and these nodules are a source of nickel, copper, and manganese and cobalt. So this is also one of the importances of the Indian Ocean, because it is a source of the abyssal plains of the Indian Ocean. They are the source of copper, manganese, nickel, and cobalt. Then what I concluded with was the importance of the Indian Ocean for India. So when we talk about the importance of the Indian Ocean for India, basically, yes, with the increasing trade, when there is increase in trade, it brings threats, different kinds of threats: piracy, robbery, and maritime terrorism. Then basically there is increasing trade relation with the eastern neighbors. Students, I told you all. So you all can write these points as an importance of Indian Ocean of India, wherein India has higher stakes in the future. It has very good trade relations with the eastern neighbors. The beach sands which are there, what do these beach sands do? They are rich in heavy minerals, and they are exploited by the bordering countries, and particularly India itself is exploiting. Then there are large reserves of hydrocarbons. The Indian Ocean provides major sea routes connecting the Middle East, Africa, East Asia, and all of those. East Asia with Europe and America. And then as I told you, with Strait of Hormuz, it basically carries heavy traffic of petroleum and petroleum products from the oil fields of the Persian Gulf and Indonesia. Then more so, it's basically, it has a choke point in the Straits of Malacca, which is located, and it adds complexity to the strategic factor. So in this lesson, students, basically was dedicated to the Indian Ocean, and especially all of those, the bottom reliefs of Indian Oceans were covered, the mid-oceanic ridges, the islands of the Indian Ocean, the salinity, the distribution of temperature was covered in this, the ocean currents in the Indian Ocean, the importance of the Indian Ocean, as well as how much importance does it hold for India. So this gets us to the end of chapter number 7. The next class I will be talking about biomes. Thank you, class.